All right. Next on Gearhead Country, we have an interview with the legendary Duane Steele. We weren't able to sit in the same room as Duane for this interview. However, through the magic of the internet, we were able to converse with him as if we virtually were. This is Duane Steele, and first, Duane, I wanted to ask you some of your classic songs, I-65, Top Down in the Rain, Long Road, and A Short Memory. Where does the inspiration come for those songs that the Gearhead Country fans love so much?
I think my inspiration for a lot of those songs, especially, Gas and Time, I-65, Long Road and A Short Memory, which I wrote with our old friend Willie Mack. A lot of those songs come from just personal experience, and I think listening to music and singer-songwriters that, who doesn't love a road song? And I think most of us, myself included, many of my first exposure to music was driving down the road with my dad and mom in a truck and listening to the radio. And I think that just comes through in some of the songs. I think it's a bit of it's cathartic. It's a bit of a healing process for many people. If you're having a bad day, sometimes all you got to do is jump in the truck or your car and turn on some music and go for a drive. And, I think as a songwriter, that idea just comes forth from not only listening to music growing up, but being inspired by the great artists that have done the same.
All right, that's awesome, Duane. Thank you. Yes, we all love those songs. Okay, next. Are you a truck guy, a car guy, and what's sitting in your driveway right now?
Well, car or a truck guy, I drive a 2006 Nissan Titan pickup, so I am absolutely a truck guy, although I do love cars. The truck's a pretty practical vehicle for me right now. We've got a house and yard, and it's always handy to have a truck to haul garbage. Plus, we got a camper. You hook onto the camper, go to the lake for a little bit and stuff. So I'm a truck guy. Love trucks.
All right, so now we know Duane is a truck guy. All right, Duane, now let's get a little bit more personal. What was the first car you ever truly owned on your own?
Well, the first vehicle I bought, I was 16 years old, and I bought it with my own money. I had been playing music and doing dances and stuff already at that time for a couple years. So I bought a 1958 Ford Meteor off a friend of mine who was in high school, and I paid $200 for it. It was brown and yellow, and it had pretty rusted out fenders on it already, but I had a three on the tree, and a 8-track cassette tape that came with it. Cassette deck, I should say, and it was pretty styling. So I loved that old car. I drove it for a summer or so, and it finally just gave up the ghost. But that was my first car.
Brown and yellow. Yes, styling indeed. All right, Duane, you've been to Nashville several times. You finally went down and got yourself a writing gig down there. What was the vehicle that you took down when you finally moved from Alberta and made your way to Nashville?
Well, the first time I went to Nashville, I flew like many of us do. But when I moved down there in 1993, we hitched up to a U-Haul. We had one of those, over cab U-Haul trucks. And we loaded all our furniture that we could take down there with us. And we pulled a little Nissan car that we had at the time. We hooked it up to a trailer behind the truck. And we drove down, we drove through, crossed at Sweetgrass, Montana, and then cut across Wyoming and down through Kansas and that part of the country. And that's our first trip to Nashville. I moved there, it was October, I believe it was early October 1993 when we made that trip, and good old U-Haul. I got to dump it off down there, but it was a good truck.
All right, Duane. Okay, it's time for our next question. You were born, a couple years after I was born, so child of the 60s. Growing up, what was your favorite TV and movie car when you started actually noticing that cars were cool?
Well, the first cars I actually noticed on TV, I think, growing up I was a 60s kid, but I didn't really start noticing cars and even watching TV. I was a busy kid, but, in the late 60s and 70s, watching TV automatically, it was the Dukes of Hazzard when they came on. There was the General Lee, and was it a Charger? Or I think it was a Dodge Charger. Yeah, it could have been Challenger, but I think it was a Dodge Charger, the General Lee, and the big the orange muscle car, and that was a pretty cool car. Plus the boys were pretty cool. And then, of course, Smokey and the Bandit came along, so we had Burt Reynolds driving the Trans Am. So those cars, I think, were probably the first cars I really actually noticed on TV, and being, the 70s, early 70s and 70s muscle cars, those were the cars to, that any small town person, boy, man, whatever, girl, you'd aspire to. So those ones kicked some pretty serious butt.
All right, Duane. I love the General Lee and the Burt Reynolds Trans Am, Smoking the Bandit as well. So we're kind of cut from the same cloth there. All right. Gearhead Country fans love Long Road and A Short Memory. We get tons of requests for it, and people just want to hear it. They love it, and they want to know where to get it, and we steer them to the website so they can download it. What's the background behind that song in particular?
I love that one of Gearhead Country Radio's the listeners out there and my music fans love that song, Long Road and A Short Memory. That's one of the songs that was never really released as a single, and but I've always I've played it lots live, and people do enjoy it. I wrote that song with a great friend of mine, Willie Mack. We wrote some songs a few years back, and Willie had that title. We were getting ready to write some songs, and he had that title, and we just both coming from small town, rural places, could sort of relate to the idea of a love gone wrong, relationship gone wrong in a small town, and just that need sometimes that you feel like I mentioned earlier in a comment about getting in a vehicle and just going for a drive, and how that can be just what the doctor ordered that day, time to think, time to listen to music, time to clear the air. And that's basically what Long Road and A Short Memory is, get out on the road and drive and forget about things. And I'm glad to hear that it's hit home and struck a chord, if you will, with many of the listeners out there on Gearhead Country. So love it. That's great.
Awesome stuff, Duane. All right, next. You have got a new single out called Drive On. Give us a bit of the background on that song. And by the way, it is fantastic to have you back.
Yeah, Drive On, that's the new single, and I'm really, really excited to have some new music out, Ian. It's been a long time. It's probably been about 8 years, I think, since I released anything nationally to radio in Canada, and pretty excited about it. May 3rd here, the tune dropped in Canada. I wrote this song with Jake Matthews. Had the title sticking around for a while, and again, it's one of those songs that we keep going back to. It's gonna drive, Charlie Major said it first, way back, I'm gonna drive you out of my mind. And Drive On is another variation of that theme, and I don't think you can get enough of those songs. These drive you out of my mind, or maybe into my mind, whatever it's gonna take. But so Jake and I we wrote that song. We came together pretty quick on it with the idea of writing about going to get out of here and turn the radio on and kind of drive until everything gets better. And I'm looking forward to how it does in Canada on country radio, and looking forward to bringing new music out in 2019 and touring with the band again. It's been a long time, and pretty excited about everything right now. So I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you having me on the station to do a little Q&A and have a chat and stuff, Ian. So thank you very much, and look forward to the rest of 2019 here in Canada. Thanks a lot.
And that was the Gearhead Country interview with Duane Steele. So go out there and check out Drive On. Definitely worth downloading if you're a Gearhead Country fan. You can find that on iTunes. You can find that just about everywhere, Spotify, and on the Duane Steele website. So go and check out the new Duane Steele.